Good evening, participants. Today the class is going to be dealt with how to write academic paper, uh, using tools, and then we are going to deal something with academic writing uh, procedures, and then we are going to see something about how to publish a paper in high impact academics. See, when you want to publish a paper, research work, and you want to publish your research work in high impact factor journals, high impact factor uh, journals, okay, you need two important things: that research should possess, should contain, should possess novelty, which is going to be a very important part for your publication. Second thing, writing. It is called academic academic writing. Okay. This writing plays a very important role for publishing any article in standard journals. It means that ACA journal with high impact factor, impact factor, and then even for unpaid journals, unpaid journals in Scoopus, and you can have science citation expanded, science citation index expanded. Okay. And all these things you need very two things as the academic writing and this novelty. See, when you think about novelty, it means that novelty is the first part of a publication. Novelty. So when you talk about novelty, okay, novelty is that how far your idea is unique towards the problem. So what do you mean by that? How far the problem is unique. It means that how many people have done in that area, and whether your problem and your solution is different. That is called novelty. See, normally regular PhD people will not able to check the novelty because of course in India we never have any tool, we never have any habit of checking the novelty. What is the problem with our Indian publication? Why the papers are not published? Because based upon the novelty. See, how do I say this? When you submit a paper, when you submit a paper, to a journal, and that submission will give a feedback saying that the major thing is no novelty, and it will talk about the very important thing is that you will just talk about native English. You don't have native English writing, and it is indirectly called as academic writing, AWR, academic writing. Okay, that is the pending. Or otherwise, you will have some minor or major revisions. These are how the thing goes. See, when you don't have novelty, okay, it will not go for the review process. It will not go for the review process. Okay, it will not go for review process. So then editor will reject here itself. Editor will see, by seeing the title, how the editor gets the information about your novelty. Information about the novelty is through the title and through the web research. He will immediately search for the particular title in the website, okay, to see how many paper, how many people are doing in this area, in this particular area, or the particular problem you are focusing. Area means here there is a problem. Okay. So now I'm going to teach you some tools where you can able to identify your work, how far it is there in the research environment. Okay, the rating of your problem and rating of the solution. And for that, they use, I just share the screen. They use one tool is that your worldcat.org. Worldcat.org. It's a search engine library used by the researchers to see that totally how many people are working in this particular area. So, for example, if you go for search, I can click articles, then I can type my area. For example, EEG. Uh, I just going to give a common word, neural disorder. See, in this area, okay, we are not specific about the disease, but still, you want to see how many people are done in this particular area. You can see it here. So you can see here, totally the downloadable article is 500. I think you can able to see here a very good number. See, this you cannot get in Google Scholar, this you will not get it in your Google search. Here it will be very specific. This is especially for search scholar search engines. Like this, you have library-based search engines where you can identify how many articles are there so far, how many books are published, whether it is in trending area. It means that how you understand the trending area. Why you are talking about the trending area? Because you can see in year-wise, what I can say, your year-wise classification is being given here, and you can able to see that you can able to see this year-wise classification, how many articles are coming, and in languages how many articles are coming. See, if very simple to check your novelty, if the downloadable article in this area is below 100, normally if it is below 100 and if it is below 50, it is very good. It is very good. If it is below 10, for example, if you get that count, it means that the people who are focusing in this problem in this area is very less. And that is very important. Okay. When you get that below 10, it is okay. 100 is okay. 50 is also okay. But still, when you give the ranking, if you are having the count less than 50 is first, you can select that area for the results. Below 50 is second, and if the paper is in the range, because in that area so far 150 papers have come out in the overall world, you can make it 3. If it are beyond 50, it goes beyond 250, it is not advisable. It is not advisable that particular problem. It means that that particular problem is addressed by many. Say why if your article, the area which you are selecting is below 0, you cannot take it because they won't believe that, and which at least 10 papers has to come out in that particular area you are working in that. That is very important. And when you see this scenario, this makes a clear idea. Okay, this makes a very clear idea about the trending area. What do you mean by trending area? Now, when you talk about trending areas, deep learning, machine learning, and then you talk about quantum computing, you talk about spectronics. These are the trending areas. And if you take any trending area and if you do the work, it will be easily getting through your journal. It will be easily accepted. See, what happens if you don't use this particular tool? If you don't have this tool, how the people lose their time and energy, and how they are being led in a wrong way to complete your what I can say your PhD. See, what happens if you don't do this in the early stage? If you don't do this in the early, if you don't do this in the early stage, what happens? I just make an example. What is the importance of this particular tool? Like this, you can have many n number of tools in your course. Of course, in this online teaching course, you'll have n number of tools we'll be teaching. What about this tool? If you don't do this, you expert member, okay, and then expert member, and then your what I can say, your DC members, they call it DC member, and totally a group of team, three people will think that this is the novel area, and the work is being started. You work for results and you do your simulations and hard work. Okay, you do your simulations and hard work. Okay, see, and you see your DC member and your expert member. Some universities will have expert member. More totally, there will be three to five people in the committee, and committee members. Okay, these committee members will decide your article, your work, proposed work is novel, and without checking without this tool, what happens? I'm trying to explain. And they say that it is the novel. They say that it is novel. Committee says this is a novel, and you try to go for simulation, and you go for hardware implementation. Then you take it as a paper. Okay, you complete it as a paper, and of course this takes normally 2 to 3 years, and then in the fourth year you may have one paper, and by that time when you try to publish this paper, okay, when you try to publish this paper in journal, okay, they say that it is not having any novelty, no novelty. So this one particular tool is trying to save your time of 2 to 3 years. This is very important. See, similarly, you have a lot of tools in order to see this, because these tools will help in two ways. One is for improving your citation, okay, and other is that you can check your novelty, and the same thing, the same tool is checked by all the editors. See, it is a very simple thing. When I say something, a new product, what happens? It's a very common nature for all the people who buy the product in online or offline, whatever. Immediately you go to the net, you just check it out. What is the product? How many companies giving for the same product, pricing, everything will be seeing it very clear. See, this is a habit of a normal person nowadays. How come an editor will not do this? By seeing the title itself, you'll get an idea that the paper contains some novelty. And by seeing the paper itself, outlook, it means that an outlook. And the outlook will give a clear-cut idea about your paper. See, here you want to understand that the editor is also a teacher. Editor is also a teacher. Okay. And why I'm saying this, when you evaluate your paper, when you evaluate your papers, your paper, okay, and you evaluate your paper, you never read the paper normally. You will just have outlook of the paper. You see the diagrams is drawn with pro circle, okay, neat handwriting, and you never see any what I can say, um, cutting. It means that you never cut your answers. Then, and you see this how it is been marked. Important points are marked, and this is how you evaluate it. See, from this evaluation, you come to a conclusion before evaluating a paper. It is good. This is how same thing editor will also do this. So when you take any paper, how editor will see the paper? How editor will see the paper? Similarly, how a teacher will see a paper. Same way, editor will see the paper, and that way is that the title. The title should reflect the novelty. Reflect the novelty. Novelty is very important. Novelty, something new. Okay, and then when he scrolls down the paper, see he'll see the infographics. He'll see the infographics. Very important thing, and you see the illustration, illustrations. Whether you have used the appropriate tools, whether you have used what I can say, a proper tools. See, that is very important. And then when you go for reference, in this paper you will have references. See, these references are being used with the proper tool. It is similar how you evaluate as a teacher a paper, is that whether student have used proper proper tool for drawing the diagram. Students have used proper marking the important sentence, and students have done the handwriting and everything. Same thing. The same people sitting as an editor, when they evaluate the paper, they look into the novelty in the title, and then they'll see the scroll the paper. They'll just scroll it. They never read it. They see the infographic illustration. They see the referencing tools. These are all the very basic things. See, if I do the referencing with the word, I think you can able to see the difference. When we teach some tools regarding the reference, you see the difference. By seeing that reference itself, they'll identify whether you have done it with the proper tool, or you have done it with the word. Normally, word we never discourage, but still, when you do with certain tools like EndNote, Mendeley, or some other tools like Citavi, that gives a presentable view. And then when you talk about infographics, there are a lot of tools to be used in infographics. See, the infographics is that, infographics. See, infographics is that there are a lot of tools. The infographics are based on graphical infographics, and the infographics are based on spatial. See, of course, when you talk about illustration is that you have used a proper tool, okay, and that illustration comes with scientific illustrations, uh, scientific illustrations, okay, and then the tool used for this is also very important. And then because there are many tools, of course, we can say that certain tools like Adobe Illustrator for illustration, infographics, Inkspace. So like this, we have a lot of tools. Why I'm not giving those tools? When we start the class, we start with one tool. Immediately we'll see we are also keep on upgrading. When we started this, we started with illustration with Adobe Illustrator. Now we are not with Adobe Illustrator. Now we are changed into Inkspace. It's an open source tool, and that we are using for drawing the illustrations. When you talk about infographics, now previously we were using our infographics like eDraw, but still we are keep on changing for every 15 days, because every time we search for a best tool, and every time the companies for infographics are also changing their versions. So we cannot stick on to the students with a particular tool. That is a very big problem. That is what I cannot able to give you which tool we are exactly using, because every time the illustration and infographics are changing in the paper. When I go to any paper, we see that paper, the diagram is different, and automatically we search for which tool they have drawn for the diagram, then I get a new tool. These things are keep on changing. So illustration is that when you talk about illustration is that it is your plot, okay, and your chart and table. Your chart and table. That is what your illustration. When you talk about this, it is your diagram. It means that block diagram, or when you are in CSE, you call it as UML diagrams and all those diagrams. Okay, and that is what I'm talking about illustration. That is what I'm talking about infographics. Okay. Now, when you talk about the other thing, what the reviewer will see, the next thing is that the way you write your abstract. It means that when you talk about abstract, they will see whether you have followed the format of the abstracting. It means that there is a style for writing an abstract. That abstracts are called infographic, it is called informative abstract, and it will be descriptive abstract, and they will see the latest abstract is that graphical abstract. See, graphical abstract, these are the types of abstracts, and they will see the video abstracts. This is one type of abstracts, and then they will see this critical abstract. These are the types of abstracts when you submit a paper, and you are aware about the latest abstract. Of course, Up to 2019, we are teaching about these video abstracts. We thought that that is the end, but now in 2020, we have seen AR and VR abstracts. Really, I'm shocked to see this, see how people are keep on growing in journal writing. So this is how you want to submit your abstract. Of course, you can see this, sir, I never seen this video abstract. Sir, I never seen this graphical abstract. This will be the question you will be raising here. And of course, when you talk about this, I can show this in Elsevier website about this video abstract. Then you can understand. Okay, and graphical abstracts. You can see from that some companies they are doing this. Very branded companies have their web shops. Now I'll just share on to my uh, uh, web page so that you can understand it. See, now you can go to Elsevier web shop. I think you can able to see very clearly. It is the Elsevier web shops. You can get this works done through this web shops. Author servicing shops are readily available, where you can see this language editing and translation. You can see this illustration and academic infographics. See here, they do this work, and you can get a code. You can see the sample diagrams, how they do this, and you can get some sample if you send a code of a diagram and all those things. These are very common. And then when you talk about abstract, because we are not aware about how to upload your video abstract, and you can see this is a video abstract, and this is an YD company. It's a very big journal company. They do these videos, and you can see here some video abstracts are classified into two ways. It is called your video bytes and video abstracts. And when you talk about video bytes and video abstracts, video short, now you can see this, they got it as video byte, sometimes they got it as video short, sometimes they got it as video abstract. Of course, the common name is given as two, is that both the two is that video abstract. When you talk about video abstracts, this is how they do it. And the video abstract is for 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes normally. And when you say video short, it is for 1 minute. Sir, you as a teacher, so far you have published some papers, you will ask me, sir, where I can see this abstract, where I want to put it. And this is an example, you can see this video short. I think you can able to see the video abstract. Okay, and that video abstract, it is a video short. And in video short, of course, you can see this how they are making their ideas to be visualized. Abstracts are visualized, their problems are posted. That is how they do this video short. Now when you talk about, I'll just show you one example of video abstract. This is about video short. Now I'll show an example of video abstract. Now this is your video abstract.
The success of dental implants depends on the long-term maintenance and stability of the bone into which the implants are introduced. Although loss of surrounding bone causes implant loss in 5 to 10% of all cases, the reasons for this are not clear. Titanium particles are thought to induce immune responses characterized by the activation of pro-inflammatory macrophages. Researchers at the 4th Military Medical University in China investigated the possibility that titanium particles released at the dental implant site contributes to bone loss and implant failure through the
because this is the fast running world. Nobody has time to read all those things. Everything they need it in a tipsy way. When you talk about earlier papers were more than 20, 21 papers. Nowadays they are not asking about 20, 21, 12 pages is enough because they don't have time. You say what you are trying to do, what you have got it. That is what. Previously, they were asking about what was the previous thing, what was your about the base area of the literature survey and all those things. Here nowadays they are not much interested because if you want to know about your work, I can go to the internet, I can get the information better than what you have written in the paper. Now the problem is what is your work? Okay, how you proceed your problem? How do you validate with some other papers? Not that what the other work has been done. What is your differentiating? That is how the trending is changing. The writing style changes. The writing style continuously changes. The writing trending changes. What do you mean by trending? See, I can give a small example about trending is that previously when you see the papers say 2015 the writing will be different. After 2015-18 the writing will be different. After 2019 and 20 the writing will be different. See, you take a very old journal and you see the paper before 2005 how the writing was. Same journal you see after 10 years, you see the difference of writing. You see, take some papers which was accepted in that particular, one particular same journal. You analyze it, you can see that there is a very big change in the writing style. Now, as you go for this, I want to give an example how these video abstracts are submitted in journal. Now, I will just go for one particular journal. When I submit it, you will get it real idea where people are allowed to submit. But of course, some people nowadays, recently, if you go for I2P sensor, they are asking for graphical abstracts. Nowadays, the trend is slowly moving towards this. Okay, of course, they have not made it as a mandatory, but some journals are trying to get graphical abstracts. Okay, because they want to get at a very short. What is your idea? What is your implementation? What is your output? That is how it makes. Because I never have time to read the entire thing, unless otherwise. Okay, unless otherwise. Okay, unless otherwise, if the topic is very much interesting. Okay, it gives a one single visual effect about your work. Now, this is my author login for a soft computing journal. I think many people, if you go for already I have gone for incomplete submission. I'll just continue it there. See now this is a where you're going to submit a paper. Now I just submit a paper, and now I'll just do it. See in attaching the file. Now I'm just going to select. I think original research article. I'm just going to proceed. Now, when you proceed it, every author will try to drag and put their papers here, and that is the general thing. Say, and after submitting this, okay, you will be having an option that, wait, I just go here, attaching files. I'll just take one paper, I'll just attach, I think, I'll just take one PDF file. I'm just dragging and attaching. Now, after attaching this, there is an option to say that what type of this material is. Manuscript is important. See here, this is important. You will include all your things, but still you have electronic supplement material. You want to click this, you want to add the videos. See, it is not a mandatory, but still you can make yourself. You can see this selection item, electronic supplementary material. And this material will help you to upload video files and video shorts, video abstracts. Okay. See, because when an editor sees the manuscript, he takes more time. In turn, if you give it in your own wording, you give more impact to your writing. You give more impact to your what I can say, your concepts and problem very clearly within 1 minute. Because it will be easily observing the reviewer and editor that this is the work. And then when they continue to read that paper, and they get a very clear idea. Okay. And that is how these video presentations are being given. This is how you can include your own ideas. See, this will help you to go ahead with a rapid publication. See, similarly, a lot of things are there to talk about it. Since it is our first class, I have given two things to be discussed here. Is that novelty and the types of abstracts. Okay. See, without knowing these types of abstract, how come a paper will be accepted? Because their expectation is different. And without knowing the academic rating, when you know this academic, generally you know how to write this. Without knowing this, how come your paper can be published? Okay. And see, you have good work, no doubt. You have good novelty, no doubt, but writing plays a very important role. Even a small thing, how do you convince your line of thought? What you thought and you do it in your lab with the real instruments and real experimentation, real simulation. The same thing what you obtain as a result, you are putting it in your paper. When a third person reads that paper, he should feel that the same experimentation as he does the work. It means that your line of thought should be reflected in the paper. When somebody reads, that fellow will be in the same line of thought and getting an idea that how far the work has been done in real time. This is what their expectation. And still, a lot of things are there to discuss. Of course, this is a first class to be dealt about. Basic thing is about novelty. Okay, novelty is very important. And before getting into the novelty, we want to teach about what do you mean by types of research. There are two types of research. The research can be processed in two ways. It can either your breakthrough research, it is your breakthrough research, and it will be a groundbreaking research. Groundbreaking research. Groundbreaking research. So these are the two types of research. Of course, when you talk about breakthrough, you will be the person to come out with that. Groundbreaking is that you just start from 100 papers. Already 100 papers are there. In that 100 paper, you find a problem. You find a problem, and for that problem, you give a solution. Okay, you give a solution. Whereas when you talk about breakthrough, you will be the first person to start. You will be the first person to start and focus that particular problem in a different idea. Okay, different idea. This is how you start with that breakthrough research. Normally, the people who has a very good team, for example, you are working in a very good team, for example, 4 to 5 people doing a research, those people can be able to start with their groundbreaking because they'll be team, they'll work on a particular area and they'll get some novel approach. Whereas breakthrough, if you are only a supervisor and your count is very less and yeah, you need a very less amount of what I can say experimentation process and you need a high simulation environment, you work with more simulation. By that way, you can go ahead with the breakthrough research. And this is how the basic research is being classified. Okay, and when you talk about this, we can able to talk more about this in the next session, and you can discuss about your types of abstracts in the next section. And I think we'll move on to the next audio and video. Thank you.